We see a young girl sitting in her room facing us. She introduces herself as Casey and states she will be taking a challenge. In a short while, she collects her toy and returns to sit. Casey repeats what she said earlier, but now we know she is recording for her channel. She says her toy's name is Paul. He will be taking the challenge with her. What she wants is to go to the World's Fair. Then she presents a pin to the camera and uses it to poke her finger several times. Casey shows the result once she finishes. She watches something we do not see. All we witness are different colored lights flickering on her face. When she finishes watching, she thanks her audience and says she will update if she notices any changes. The next scene has Casey walking outside in the snow. It switches to show a man behind his camera who says he thinks he's turning into something terrible. At that point, a voiceover comes to tell its listeners that they want to join the internet's scariest horror game. A disclaimer is added that the creators cannot be responsible for what their players become. Later, Casey watches videos pertaining to the game on her bed. One guy describes the experience and that he realizes he is playing Tetris. It is the only thing he is doing. He states the blocks are coming closer to his neck before he ends the video. After that, Casey searches for the World's Fair common symptoms. She clicks on a video that states in the title how a man can't feel his body. He runs on a treadmill at home, slapping himself several times. Apparently, he is doing it to demonstrate what the title says. The video ends abruptly, and Casey's screen loads another one. She watches how a lady believes herself to be turning into plastic. We see her skin resembles it to some degree. In a few seconds, the lady stands up, exposing even more of it. Suddenly, a knock takes place, making Casey close her laptop. Someone rudely tells her that it is 3 a.m. The girl apologizes. On another day, Casey takes her camera into the woods. She starts recording herself, saying she likes horror movies and how it would be nice to try living inside one. She used to sleepwalk a lot when she was smaller. She also had scary dreams where she was aware of her actions, but could not control herself. Casey concludes by saying she should be cold now. However, she does not feel anything. Then she comes home and starts recording. She wants to record herself sleeping through the night, so she gets into bed. While trying to sleep, Casey is bothered by the light and has to adjust it twice. Soon she realizes that it's not working. It prompts her to get dressed and put Paul around her neck. She closes her laptop before walking outside with a lantern. Casey enters the shed, where she uncovers a shotgun. She just looks at it for a while, until she puts it away. Afterward, she walks further into the shed. The girl lies on the couch and plays a video. On it, a voice tells her that she is okay. It asks if she had a bad dream. As she keeps watching, we eventually see that Casey is watching an ASMR video. A lady uses comforting whispers and hand movements to offer relaxation. We watch it along with her for a while. Casey gets told by the lady that she is safe and comfortable. Following the video, a message comes specifically to Casey from someone named JLB. It is a distorted image of her, with demonic laughter in the background. In a few seconds, Casey's eyes darken in the image, prompting her to sit up on the couch. Then words appear that tell her she is in trouble. The sender also needs to talk to her. Casey walks to the image on the screen, staring at it. It alternates between the picture and the words. Later, Casey looks at a site on her phone. On it, someone informs her that it is an in-game channel for serious players only. If she chooses to message him, she should be ready to become scared. So Casey contacts the person on Skype. She shows herself, but he shows up as a creepy drawing. The mysterious man tells her that he's seen her videos and has been trying to get in touch with her. She mentions the message regarding her being in trouble. He replies by asking her how much she has read about the World's Fair. Casey tells him she mostly just watches videos online. The man informs her that there are a lot of theories surrounding the subject. It can be confusing if someone is just starting with it. She wants to know if he is a paranormal investigator. However, he tells her he is nobody. Casey also wants to know why he is talking to her. He tells her he wants to help her, yet needs to know if she's telling the truth. She lets him know she is. She also feels like she's leaving her body and turning into someone else. JLB asks her to keep making videos before their call comes to an end. After the call, we see the man sitting in contemplation. At a later time, he watches the same guy that Casey watched. He sits in his bathroom, talking about how he wanted a certain doll very much. He would even dream about acquiring it. We then see a close-up of a strange material on his arm. He states that it got worse but feels good. Picking into his arm, he starts pulling out several tickets. The next video displays a retro arcade-style graphic. On it, someone writes that they want to go to the World's Fair. Another video has a guy sitting on his bed, looking at his injured finger, which resembles what he sees on his laptop. He says a few times that he wants to go to the World's Fair. Following that, his laptop suddenly turns off, but the image is still on the screen. Shortly after, grotesque hands come from the screen and pull the guy inside. The last video briefly shows a lady sitting with wings attached to her. The scene shifts to JLB drawing a creepy face as he sits in his house. Subsequently, he watches another one of Casey's videos. This time, she managed to record herself sleeping through the night. He skips to a later time in the video, where her hand starts to reach down slowly. She makes a weird face, causing JLB to pause the video. He states it's her scariest video so far, and wants her to keep making more. On another day, Casey films herself as she engages in singing and dancing to electronic music. She exudes a lot of energy as she does it. Then she screams in fear. However, we see that it was just pretended because she casually goes back to dancing. Afterward, the girl walks outside while recording a cemetery. While she records, she likens the area to a school. What comes next is her randomly recording a street with vehicles passing. Another video has her recording at night. In it, she says that one day she will disappear. A third random video shows her capturing footage of Christmas decorations. She comes to the Santa Claus decoration and tells him to stop smiling a few times. A blur of Christmas lights lasting for several seconds takes place after that. Later, we see Casey's sixth sleeping video. It shifts to her not being in bed until she crawls to look into the camera. She tells whoever is watching her that she sees them, even if they don't show their face. She also states they cannot stop her. We see that JLB is watching the video. He soon sees her go back to bed. We see the man in his house, watching more of her videos. He records an audio message where he tells her that he feels the forces of the fair pulling her closer. He wants to save her and talk to her soon. JLB sends the message, titling it as urgent. The next scene has Casey on her bed, recording a tarot card reading. She lays out many cards, describing some of them. When she gets to a particular card, she says how she hates people who act like they know everything. She talks for a little while longer before turning the camera off. At night, she records as she walks along the street. The girl says her father needs to go. She will give him 3 shots to the stomach and will not be able to control herself. She says how she almost ended her own life instead. After a few seconds of walking, she questions why someone won't love her. She is likely asking that of her father. Soon she approaches a crowd of people who are all counting down. The scene cuts when they all get to 3. What comes after is Casey recording as she stands in front of a mirror and puts cream on her face. In her darkened room, she stands in front of the camera, wearing a face mask. She brings Paul into view, making him say that he loves whoever is watching the video. Casey states she is still scared of the dark, and that Paul helps her sleep at night. She had him since she was 5 days old. These statements make her next actions shocking because she starts ripping Paul apart. Following that, Casey stomps on him. Shortly after, she turns on the lights and sees Paul in his ruined state. She questions herself why she did that. The girl cries as she holds it in her hands. We even see her lying on the floor, holding Paul. Afterward, Casey says she now knows how it will end. She will go through the computer. Later, she talks to JLB, asking him how long he thinks she has left. He says that her videos have been intense lately. She mockingly asks him if he actually thought she was going to end her life, or the life of someone else. JLB replies that he was not sure if she was acting or not. If he were to call the police, he would not know where to direct them. To that statement, Casey mockingly questions if he was going to do that. She tells him they were just videos, and that something is wrong with him for thinking otherwise. The girl follows her statement by letting him know she has to go. JLB tries holding her back by saying her name, but she tells him that Casey is not even her name. After the call, she writes that he should never call her again. Then the girl calls him an indecent term. The man feels very uneasy with the way the situation turned out. He walks into another section of his house, where he sits to contemplate. JLB mumbles something to himself, but we see he does not come up with anything. So he goes back up to his room to call Casey again. However, his calls get rejected. He types for her not to do it. He wants her to just keep making videos. The man puts his hand on the screen out of despair. Later, we see Casey's face in the dark changing colors. Her words get repeated that one day she will disappear. After that, JLB says that 1 year later, he heard from Casey again. She sent him a message with an apology. She also told him she was in a care facility. Then in his room, JLB sends a message to someone. In it, he says that Casey told him her real name and that he told her his. They met in Manhattan at one time, where she got to see his face. It felt weird for both of them to sit there. They had so much to say, but did not know where to begin. Eventually, he asked her about that night, which brought her to apologize to him. JLB continues by saying that he made it there. He made it into the heart of the fair, but something put him back and doesn't know what it was. He stayed up all night and prayed for Casey. They also made plans to meet again. He could not believe that he was there, touching her. The man concludes by saying they both made their way home.